I want to back up to something the president said struck me, that this really isn't the domain of the FBI to try and figure out what went on some 3+ decades ago. Seems to me whatever jurisdiction this alleged event took place in should be investigated at that level, or should have been investigated at that level way back then. You agree with that?
I think the should have been, Graham, is the right nomenclature for this. And you cleaned up the president's words a little, so very well done. He said it's not their thing. What he meant to say is it's not within their jurisdiction. It's not within their mandate. It's not the type of thing they investigate. They've been very clear about that. The statute of limitations, Graham, ran long ago, whether or not this could have been prosecuted criminally. But remember, that's not the purpose for the investigation. The purpose is to lend some context to the allegations, to see whether or not there's any corroboration. All the sorts of things that would have taken place back in the day had it been reported. Now, delayed disclosure is the norm when it comes to sexual assault. But when you look at political timing, that's what we're talking about here. And why was this brought up by those in the know, like Senator Feinstein? That's more of the pertinent question I think that we're facing. That's why we're in this last-minute fire drill to see what kind of investigation we can get done between now and Monday.
Right. So the investigation, I'll use that in air quotes, the investigation is up to the Senate Judiciary Committee. On the Republican side, I keep hearing from the mainstream media that there are 11 white males. And on the Democrat side, there are a couple of females on the committee who do have some prosecutorial experience. I want to dig down into that in just a minute. But first, this Mark Judge person. This is not just a case of he said, she said, is it? This guy is a potential witness. After all, the accuser has said that this person was there when this alleged attack took place.
And Graham, that's an excellent point that you bring up, because it's not just a he said, she said. There is some level of corroboration, and part of that corroboration is what you look at in determining whether or not there's veracity behind allegations. Now, we're not in criminal court, so it's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. In fact, it's almost as if Judge Kavanaugh, in a sense, will be expected to prove his innocence. So it really is an unusual process procedurally.
But if Judge is brought forward, if Judge is brought forward, you would expect the Democrats, if he is testifying on behalf of Kavanaugh, saying he doesn't remember or doesn't remember the attack. We've heard two things. I've heard two conflicting stories here. He doesn't remember the entire event, or he doesn't remember the attack, so they're going to try and parse that one out. But you would expect the Democrats on that panel to go after his credibility, correct?
I would also expect them to almost be ready for the Republicans to use him as a character witness. Because remember, he not only said that he doesn't remember anything about the party, he also said he has never known Judge Kavanaugh to behave that way.
Right.
So he's more than a precipient witness, he's a character witness. And that's why he's a double-edged sword in terms of the value he can bring to the proceeding. Both sides, no doubt, on Monday will use him for their purposes.
Christine Blasey Ford, what do we know about her? We know a little bit. She certainly hasn't been a squirrel hiding in some tree somewhere. We know that she's a registered Democrat to start with. We know she also donated to Democrat and or independent campaigns like Bernie Sanders. I think one can assume from what we're gleaning that she's not exactly a fan of President Trump. So when you have a person like this, you talked about a delayed reporting in terms of sexual abuse, that there is a pattern of that. But 3.5 decades, that's the first thing I would question. And secondly, is there any kind of political grudge to be settled here? Why didn't this woman come forward when Judge Kavanaugh was nominated for the circuit court? That wasn't exactly a state secret. That was in the news cycle. She could have come forward then.
She could have come forward then, but you know what we see in the field of sexual assault is delayed disclosure is far more the norm than the exception. It's far more the rule. And one of the reasons for that is it's embarrassing, it's humiliating, it's trauma-filled. But here's going to be the question on Monday. Perhaps the question won't be so much, was this woman assaulted? But did Judge Kavanaugh do it? And I say that because that seems to be, we're at diametrically opposed ends of the spectrum. This is so unique. It is very dissimilar to much of what's gone on in the mainstream media regarding celebrities, politicians. Well, maybe I took it too far. I don't remember it that way. Judge Kavanaugh is saying, I wasn't there. I have no idea who this woman is. So one of the themes I would expect to see during the questioning, whether it's public or private, of Dr. Ford is, did you get a good look at this guy? How do you know it was Judge Kavanaugh? The experience of being sexually assaulted is so traumatic that there may be some details that fall by the wayside. Now, the counter argument to that is maybe it wouldn't be identity of the perpetrator, which is why how well did these two even know each other is also likely to be one of the themes on Monday.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.